AbaNPreach and Brandon Tatum has been going at it for some time now. And just yesterday, they made a video really destroying Brandon Tatum for being a hypocrite that he is. You know, when Charlie Kirk died, he was, seen crying and, online. But just before that, he was making videos saying that he wouldn't cry at his own father's funeral. He wouldn't cry. He doesn't want to cry in front of his wife. He just said a whole bunch of foolishness.
Men should not show all of their emotions to women, because women judge men very harshly on that. I would never cry in front of my wife.
Really?
I just wouldn't.
What if your kid died?
That's a different thing. I mean, I would try not to cry in front of my wife if my kid died. I'm her foundation. I'm her strong point. I cry on my own, but if everything is going south, I want my wife to know I'm strong in that situation. I heard a guy say this, is that when my father passes away, which everybody's parent is gonna pass away, I'm not gonna cry at his funeral. I don't wanna cry at his funeral. I want my father to know that I'm strong enough to stand up and have this conversation. I've compartmentalized.
So he talking all this tough stuff in front of the women. And I remember back in 2022 when my father died, I thought I would be able to be strong and be in there. When I walked up to the casket and looked, I blacked out. I damn near knocked the casket over. That's what they was telling me. I had never, seeing my father lay down there like that. Sometimes these people say stuff for shock value, man. They just say any damn thing, right? But then he's doing this.
I'm very angry because you don't get your lick back.
This the same man that won't cry in front of his wife. He won't cry for the kids. He won't cry for his own father. The man who raised him, fed him, did everything, right? Built him up. He won't cry for him, but yet and still, he's online in front of all his followers crying for Charlie Kirk, saying we can't get our lick back, right? And AbaNPreach, they saw this, man, and really laid into this guy, man. Check it out.
Your dad would die, and then you're like, nah, not even he needs to know. he needs to know that I was strong.
Hey, listen, some of you brothers are not.
Well, Kirk is saying that you a from heaven.
Hey, listen.
By that logic, that's crazy.
Some of you brothers are not beating the Zaddy Kirk allegations.
Now, you got to understand something, because this guy's basically been ostracized from Turning Point USA. They're not rocking with this dude. He's got his wake-up call on so many different levels. We've seen them put primates and chimps, primates and bananas and all kinds of stuff on Twitter, on X, in regards to him. They've been calling him out because of his stance on supporting the protected class, right? He's been over there. We've seen him interview BB, and a lot of the people on the radical right have turned for him. They are not rocking with him at all, right? Now, mind you, again, this is the same dude that said he won't cry for his mama. He won't cry for his daddy. He don't cry in front of his wife, right? But then you see him crying for Charlie Kirk, where him and Charlie Kirk they wasn't even cool around the time Charlie Kirk was unalive, right? And y'all saw me do content on that already, right? But now this is a guy named Ian Went. And this guy, he wears his Patriot hat. He's a staunch American for the radical right. And he's one of those guys that's really been calling out and exposing Brandon Tatum for his lies, his grifting, and his basically using Charlie Kirk's unaliving to fill his pockets. Check this out.
The guy's name, but this guy he told me to eat a you-know-what on my DM.
No, I don't think they know what, but it was or an eggplant.
Now, I will slap this guy with an open hand.
No, you won't.
With the back of my hand, if he ever said that to me in person. Now, he never will, and I put that on everything. He never will.
Will you put that on all the money that you're about to make off of Charlie Kirk's death over the next 3 to 5 years? Because you're gonna lose it. Because I absolutely would.
And if he does, I'm going to put him on Instagram. I'm going to show y'all me slapping him with the back of my hand. Not even balling my fist on this guy.
No, you wouldn't. Because if you did, you'd find yourself on the ground.
Now, why is Brandon and Mr. Went having that fight online? They're arguing online. They're threatening each other. Well, Brandon Tatum is threatening to backhand him and put it on Instagram. And, he's basically showcasing And you know, I rarely take up. I'm not taking up for the W guy because I'm sure that he don't like us. But Brandon Tatum don't like us either. Brandon Tatum spends a lifetime destroying and disrespecting the black community, right? Disrespecting the black people just in general, right? But why are they having this going back and forth online? Because when Charlie Kirk was on the live, Brandon Tatum started selling a lot of merchandise. He and with Charlie Kirk's name and face and his likeness on it. And he was making a whole bunch of money, right? He was making a whole bunch of money, but was he giving those proceeds back to Charlie Kirk's widow and family? Well, there's a discrepancy going between now Brandon Tatum and this W man, Ian Wink. Check it out.
What you guys don't realize is that once you are done with your life and you can't bring in income anymore, that's detrimental to a person's family. Charlie Kirk had a show that was tremendously successful. It's a dog-eat-dog world. They're not finna keep his show going. They're gonna cut his show after probably another week or so, and they're gonna put somebody else in that spot. You're talking millions of dollars coming into his family that's no longer there. Unrealized gains. Charlie Kirk probably would have wrote 40 more books. Charlie Kirk should have lived another 50 years. And his children and his wife are not going to have that unrealized gain from Charlie Kirk's legacy moving forward. So this is a contributing option for us that love him, that really love him.
So this is what we call cap on Brandon Tatum, because we know that Brandon Tatum, before Charlie Kirk was on the live, was having some forms of beef because of Charlie Kirk's relationship with Tucker Carlson, where Tucker Carlson and Brandon Tatum don't get along, right? We know that Brandon Tatum was basically ostracized from Turning Point USA, and he kept, his stance on being pro the protected group, right? Where Charlie Kirk was being friends with Tucker Carlson, who speaks out against that protected class, right? So there was a conflict. There was definitely a conflict of interest. He wasn't invited to speak at the funeral. He wasn't even invited to Turning Point USA, but yet and still he's selling his merchandise, saying that all proceeds will go to Charlie Kirk's family. But when you go onto the website, Turning Point USA has their own merchandise. They don't have to get anything from Brandon Tatum. Brandon Tatum is full of crap, and Ian Went is calling him out because he was invited to Turning Point USA because he has the complexion for, he's part of the group, right? And he said he talked to people in high positions there, and they don't know anything about him selling merchandise. Check it out.
Brandon, I actually went to Turning Point and talked to the people higher up that were in charge of the merch specifically, and almost got to the point where I was actually going to put Charlie's signature on the sleeve and make it all about Charlie, and we were going to make it a whole big tribute thing. And I had permission from the very top. What's really interesting, though, is when I asked them what other companies might be doing it, they didn't mention yours. So did you even reach out and ask them for permission? Did you ask them if it was something you could do? Anybody that cared about Charlie, I wasn't even really close to Charlie, but I was already looking for ways to make sure that Erica and her kids got all of the money.
So you cowards say, I'm not going to do nothing because I might make a profit off of it.
Because I saw that you were doing it. And I don't want to be anything like you, ever. I want nothing to do with people like you. You're the bottom of the barrel. You're the worst of the worst. You're the grifters of all grifters. You don't care about anybody but yourself.
He called this man the grifter of the grifters. See, they already know who the token blacks are. And they call this stuff out. I keep telling them, they're not. Brandon just wants to be accepted so bad, right? He knows, but this is the thing. He's grifting. He knows that them people don't like him, man. He just want to be accepted. And the guy's basically saying, like, you are the worst of the worst without losing his page online and saying something real crazy about black folks. He basically just called you out for what it is, but he wasn't finished.
I stuck with my first gut reaction and thought, which is we are absolutely not going to create anything that takes away from Charlie Kirk, his family, and the people around them, or capitalizes off of his death and this event in any way, shape, or form. Oh, and by the way, when I made that decision, even though we had already talked about doing it and they were like all on board with supporting me and making sure that I could do it, what's really interesting is when I pulled the plug and I said, actually, I'm going to go with my original decision and not do it, sorry, they actually respected that decision. And they sent me this.
We made a shirt and we gave 100% of the profits to her.
Yeah, you made a shirt, but you didn't just make a shirt. You made like 20-something products, all with Charlie's name and Charlie's face on them. We'll get to that.
And the number's got to be at 500,000 right now. I don't know. I haven't checked the books, but we're probably going to write her at. We're probably going to write her at.
Wait, you're going to write her? I thought you said you already gave it to her. Why the discrepancy? Did you give it to her, or are you going to give it to her? Which one is it? You keep on mixing those two. You know what you also mix? Proceeds and profit. It's really interesting that you guys did that. So for the first month or so that you were promoting the Charlie t-shirt and all the Charlie products, you said that all proceeds were going to be donated to Erica and the kids, right? And so you garnered all this support and you got all these people to buy the merch under the pretext that the proceeds were going to be donated to Erica and the kids. But then you changed it to profit. It's really interesting how you did that. See, I've been in this industry for a long time, so I know how it works. And most people don't, but I do. So now I'm going to tell people.
I'm going to go out and let me say this. Brandon Tatum never liked Charlie Kirk at all. I don't even think, in my opinion, I don't even think he loves W folks all like that. I think that he had a failed football career. He was a police officer for a minute. He peeped the weakness in the game and started to grift. And he knew that if I talk down on black people and I placate and ingratiate myself to W culture, I can make a lot of money. I can make a lot of money. I can make millions of dollars telling W folks what they want to hear about my own community. I don't have to have, if I lack integrity, if I lack the love and respect of my own, man, they'll love me, man. They'll love me. As long as I do everything that they say. He never thought that him following that protected class, that those groups would turn on him. Because at one point, all of them was following that protective class. Now, there's been a split and a shift. And in that shift, he's got caught in the middle of it, right? So now he's being called a primate. They're coming at him from all kinds of angles. And he's losing subscribers. The ship is leaking and it's sinking oil, right? So AbaNPreach, they're making fun of him because they know that he has no integrity. He's not a truth teller. He's a liar. He will do anything for money. And this is what AbaNPreach was exposing. You're saying, well, I wouldn't cry in front of my wife and I wouldn't cry at my dad's funeral around the children, but you're crying for a guy who you was disparaging before his abrupt unaliving. Because of his allegiance and alliance with Tucker Carlson, where you're still supporting that protected group, and they're not. They're not. So you're seeing this internal fight, and they're telling you, hey, dude, you're out. You went against the grain, you're out. You can be our mascot as long as you're doing the things that we tell you to do. The minute you start thinking for yourself and having your own ambitions, you're out, pal. You know how they talk. You're out, pally. Hey, dude, you're out. So now they're making all kinds of things to get him up out of there, man. But this is Brandon Tatum. This is what he does, right? The man of no integrity. But y'all gotta let me know what y'all think. If you made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV, leave your comments in the comment section. And remember, I love y'all. Till next time, peace.